Hey everyone, before the story begins, please take a second to subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories alive, and this one cuts deeper the longer it unfolds. I handed my wife the divorce papers in a restaurant overlooking the Vltava River. Just as the sun was sliding behind Prague Castle and turning the water the color of old copper. She was laughing when I approached the table, her head tilted back slightly, the sound too free, too unburdened. Her date, tall, well-dressed, a man who believed the world owed him softness, stopped mid-sentence when he saw me. Alina's smile collapsed. Not dramatically. It simply drained away, leaving something naked and frightened behind. "Jakub," she whispered, as if my name were a curse she'd accidentally spoken aloud. I placed the envelope on the table between her wineglass and his hand. "You forgot to tell me you were busy tonight," I said calmly, "so I brought this instead." The man looked from her to me. "I think there's been a mistake," he said in accented Czech, already rising from his chair. "No," Alina said sharply, grabbing his wrist. "Please, sit." Her reaction shattered something invisible but essential inside me. Not guilt, not shame, possession. I nodded once, turned, and walked out into the evening air. The bells of St. Nicholas were ringing, steady and indifferent. I didn't cry. Not then. I had cried years ago, when tears were still useful. I grew up in Ostrava, in a concrete housing block that smelled of coal dust and boiled cabbage. My grandfather had worked the mines until his lungs failed him, coughing black into handkerchiefs that my grandmother washed until they fell apart. My father followed him underground, then followed him into unemployment when the mines closed and privatization swept through like a polite executioner. He drank himself into silence. My mother worked double shifts at a grocery store owned by a man who'd once been her classmate and now paid her just enough to keep her grateful. Our family learned early that power never announced itself. It whispered, negotiated, smiled. Alina came from the opposite world. Old Prague money, apartments with high ceilings and inherited art. Her father, Viktor, was a celebrated architect who spoke lovingly about preserving history while quietly selling it to the highest bidder. Her mother, Ivana, curated charity events and cruelty with equal precision. They never liked me. They tolerated me. When Alina and I married, Ivana kissed my cheek and said, "You'll work very hard to belong here." I thought it was encouragement. It was a warning. For years, I did exactly that. I worked as a legal advisor for municipal redevelopment projects, translating regulations into opportunities for men like Viktor. I told myself compromise was survival. That silence was strategic. Then my father died alone in his flat, unnoticed for 3 days. The landlord threatened to charge us for the smell. At the funeral, Viktor shook my hand and said, "These things happen. Progress leaves casualties." Something in me calcified that day. I didn't confront Alina about the affair right away. I had known for months, late meetings, perfume that wasn't hers, a new phone password. She believed discretion was protection. I believed in timing. The man at the restaurant was Peter Havel, a rising figure in the Ministry of Regional Development. Married, connected, useful. I began pulling threads. Quietly, methodically, I documented conflicts of interest. Land rezoning that benefited Peter's associates. Heritage protections lifted after private dinners. Emails sent from Alina's personal account, coordinating introductions between her father and policymakers. I didn't steal anything. I simply remembered where things were kept. Ivana sensed the shift before anyone else. She invited me for tea one afternoon, her apartment overlooking the old town square, tourists moving below like insects. "You've been distant," she said, pouring carefully. "Alina is unhappy." "She's honest," I replied. Finally, Ivana's eyes hardened. "You forget your place." "No," I said. "I learned it." The night the investigation broke, snow was falling thick and heavy, muting the city. Alina came to my apartment unannounced, her hair damp, her face pale. "You did this," she said. Not a question. "I finished it," I corrected. She laughed once, hysterical. "You've destroyed my family." I thought of my father, of my grandfather, of generations bent under other people's ambition. "No," I said quietly. I ended the illusion. Viktor resigned within weeks. Peter disappeared from public view. Charges were discussed, then softened, then buried. But reputations never fully recover in Prague. They simply rot politely. The divorce was brutal. Alina fought for everything, not out of need, but principle. Ivana testified against me in court, her voice trembling with practiced sorrow. I watched without flinching. When it was over, I walked across Charles Bridge at dawn. The statues loomed dark and solemn, witnesses to centuries of quiet revenge. The river moved on, as it always had. Months later, I received a letter from Alina. Just one sentence. I never knew you were capable of this. I folded the paper carefully and placed it in a drawer with my father's watch and my grandfather's handkerchief. Capability, I had learned, was not about cruelty. It was about endurance. And for the first time in my life, the city felt like it belonged to me too.